We are Makilala TV, the first Filipino-American TV talk show in the New York metro area. Get to know us as we talk to the community leaders, innovators, advocates, and emerging artists who affect Filipino-American life.
My name is Rachelle Ocampo. On behalf of my co-host, Cristina Pastor, and guest co-host, Jocelyn Bernal, who's the Senator of Junior Chamber International, who's joining us since Jen is on sabbatical, welcome to Makilala TV. This episode's topic is on setting ourselves up for a healthier new year. We will find out how our two guest speakers have motivated others to making the best investment in their lives, their health. So our first guest that I'm going to introduce is Romainne de Luis, who is a mom of two energetic young boys and a wife. She is a self-described firewalker, a certified Tony Robbins coach, and a human success operating system coach. She's a diamond executive at Yoli Better Body Company and the founder of an event fundraising company called Event for Good. Our second guest is Ronnie Cruz, who is a 20-year veteran of the network marketing profession. He's an avid runner and lifelong devotee to healthy living, and he's found the perfect marriage between his entrepreneurial pursuits and his lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle with Yoli, the Better Body Company. He has directly and indirectly helped impact thousands of lives around the world, helping people make positive changes through healthier lifestyles. Welcome to Makilala TV, Romainne and Ronnie. So before we dive into how to start a healthier new year, tell me, what was your defining moment? Like where you decided, I'm going to make a change in my health. And what was that change? Romaine, you can go first.
So for me, by the way, good morning, guys, in the New York cold weather. So we're all virtual right now. But yeah, the defining moment for me was when my husband and I were going to go to Europe for our second honeymoon, and none of my clothes fit me anymore. So I was like, maybe it's time for me to have a lifestyle change. And so it's cheaper to do a lifestyle change rather than changing your entire wardrobe, right? So that's what I did. I just made a decision to find the best option for me, and that's where I found my company, Yoli Better Body Company. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, there wasn't really one singular defining moment. I think I've been fortunate to have had good health and been pretty well throughout my life and not had any major illnesses or anything to address. And I think that comes from the fact that I observed and watched as a kid growing up. I saw the adults in my life um, go through illnesses and diseases themselves, and I knew that if I wanted a different track, if I didn't want to experience those things that they had experienced in terms of poor health, that I had to do things differently. And so over the course of my life, I've integrated slowly, little things here and there to make sure that I stay on top of my health, right?
I wanted to ask Romaine and later Ronnie, why is it that when New Year comes around, the first thing that people change is their weight? I don't understand that.
I think the reason for that is it's the most obvious thing, right? We don't really think about our internal organs. We don't really think about our mindset. What's automatic is, the weighing scale tells us that, hey, you're kind of overweight right now, so you might want to lose weight. So it's a very obvious thing. So the physical change is the most obvious thing to do first, which
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion should actually be just like after the fact that you actually talk about, like, for me, I'm a mindset coach, so for me, mindset first, and then everything else follows. So
Yeah.
Right.
Ronnie, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, well, I think, from a health standpoint, that's health, finances, relationships. Those are the top three things that people always
Oh,
want to
okay.
make changes on. And so when the new year comes around, I mean, that's the natural kind of restart for people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a symbolic, fresh beginning. And so, generally when people set their goals for the new year, it's either health, finances, or relationships. And with as far as weight loss goes, yeah, Romaine's exactly right. I mean, we all have, as much as we hate to admit it, I think we all have a little bit of vanity.
Yeah.
And so we all want to look good, and that's the easiest thing to kind of address, when it comes to like that surface level of your health.
Mhm.
Well, I wanted to just ask. I mean, I was listening to a podcast recently. Sanjay Gupta was talking about, well, people start to go to the gym in January, and by the February 15th mark, there's nobody in the gym. The hard part, I think, is to try to keep going. What would your suggestion be in terms of when you first start to think, let's get healthy? How do you keep that going beyond February 15th when most people in the gym don't come back after the first 6 weeks? Ronnie, let's take it from you because you're a runner.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the consistency really is for me, what is the root of what you're trying to accomplish, right? Like if somebody is just, again, like Romaine said, if somebody's just trying to do it for a surface reason of trying to lose weight to maybe look better, that I don't think necessarily is deep enough for an individual to stick out through the difficult times, because obviously it's going to take time to develop healthy habits. You have to do something for 60 days or longer for it to become part of your lifestyle. And so that kind of surface reason isn't strong enough to keep people going through when you don't feel like doing it, because ultimately you're not going to feel like doing it after 2 weeks. You know what I mean? 3 weeks. So it's really just a matter of really knowing why you want to make a change, especially before you have to make a change, right? Before the ill health and the diseases set in. So having a good, strong reason to do this stuff. Like Romaine has kids, right? And I don't know if you guys have kids. I don't have any kids, but like to think of your kids and being there in the long term, coming up with things that's really going to push you and drive you.
Yeah. For me, it's really a decision. So most people just decide to lose the 10 pounds and that's their goal. Once they achieve their goal, they're
Right.
like, okay, I'm done, moving on. And then they go back to the same old habit, right? So again, I'm a mindset coach. I'm all about mindset. So for me, wellness is actually a mindset
Mhm.
habit. It means like every single day you make a decision to be better for yourself, not just in health, but in like all aspects of your life. So when you say, you know what, I'm going to be better just for January and then I'll go back to my same lifestyle in February, that's again a decision. So, and most of you, I'm sure all of you or most of you here are in a relationship. So, you know how honeymoon stage starts? Like honeymoon, like everything's happy, you're very in your best behavior. And then, when things get harder, that's when the real challenge is. And so, just like in health, it's like a honeymoon stage. Oh, New Year, let me have a honeymoon in the first 10 days of my life of January, right? And then after that, oh, it's getting difficult. The winter is like, it's so hard to go to the gym. It's so cold outside. I don't really want to keep eating salad every day, or I just want to eat that lechon manok or lechon,
Yeah.
like the fried, all Filipino fried food that we all love. Come on, let's just be real. So what happens is we're like, it's so hard. So it's your comfort level. You don't want to get past that. But the thing is, you have to remember, growth happens in your most difficult time. Just like you say, a relationship is successful once you get past those several problems in your relationship, right? And so in a real transformation of your health, your finances, or in your relationships, it's really when things are getting difficult, that's a good thing because it means that the growth is about to happen. And so when you get past that difficult phase, the step one, then you go to step two, and then you get to step three. You don't lift 5 pound, 100 pound weight overnight. It comes from lifting 1 pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, until you get to such a point that you can lift that 100 pound dumbbells, right? So
Are you
yeah.
are you both fitness into fitness? You do fitness programs for clients. So are you seeing some new fitness trends? Like I saw a video the other day. Um, the guy was lifting, instead of lifting dumbbells, he's lifting his kid. lifting his infant kid. Seriously, I was so surprised and also amused at the same time. Are you seeing any new trends?
Yeah, I mean, I see new trends all the time. Especially when it comes to fitness, there's always a new workout. Even with nutrition and diet, there's always a new
Yeah.
kind of fad way to eat. I mean, largely a lot of that stuff is all marketing.
Yeah.
Like it's I won't speak to the effectiveness of those things necessarily because I'm not out there trying every single
Okay.
thing
Yeah.
that comes out. But yeah, I mean, like I think if people stick to kind of the core fundamentals of making sure they have a well-rounded nutrition plan and have some sort of physical activity and movement,
Mhm.
a few times a week, then that will really go a long way to improving your health in the long term, right? As far as fads go, sure. I mean, try something new, but like with every fad, it kind of fades away and disappears. So if you're doing a fad, then understand that you're probably going to get tired of it as well. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. I just wanted to ask very quickly, are you seeing trends in people taking care of their mental health? Is that a concern? Is that a growing concern as far as
I
fitness
think
is
so.
concerned?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
yeah, Ronnie and then Romaine.
Yeah, I definitely think so, especially coming out of COVID, right? The pandemic and the lockdown really affected mental health across the board for a lot of people, um, for many reasons, right? Not just even just because of the lockdown, but I mean, so many people lost loved ones, and the impact that made. And so coming out of that, I think mental health is the mental health issue is definitely growing, and awareness around that is growing, which is good, because for me, when we talk about fitness, um, it's a big part of my own mental health practice, right? Being active, getting my body moving, once a day, it really helps me clear my head, and makes me feel better, right? Like it releases the chemicals in the brain. Like going out for a long run afterwards, I always feel much better because it releases great chemicals in my mind. So physical activity is a great, well, not a foundation, like it's one of those things that I believe should be integrated into a mental health practice.
Romaine.
Yeah, actually, Ronnie and I became human success operating system coaches during the pandemic. It was offered to me by one of the top level elite coaches of billionaires. And so I said, Ronnie, let's go do this together because Ronnie's a friend of mine outside of our business, but
Mm-hmm.
also we were each other's support during the pandemic. So we couldn't see each other physically. He lives in North Carolina. I live in New York City. We used to hang out like from time to time, like physically, but now we're like, okay, we're all in lockdown. So what do? We did a lot of Zoom calls together, like, just chatting with friends. And that's how we became like each other's support. So mental health was really very important, especially and highlighted during the pandemic. And so we both Ron and I became coaches because of that as well. We needed to be each other's coach and a
Mm-hmm.
coach to ourselves. So we actually got professionally trained for it. So
Yeah, it's definitely
Romaine,
important to
I feel
incorporate.
heard. Can I just ask Romaine? I'm just picking up what you mentioned and also what Ronnie mentioned. The word support. Support for me also comes in the form of having a buddy system or having someone behind you or ideas behind you that'll help you keep going. Can you expound a little bit on that, on why it might be important to have like a support team or a support group or something like that to help you to continue with this idea of I'm gonna go for whatever my goal is.
Mm-hmm.
um so I'll go first. So basically, one of the human needs of emotional need of people. I'm speaking as a coach. We have six emotional needs. One of the needs that we have is like connection, and so that's very basic in every human being, regardless of your culture or race or your age. Everybody needs connection, just in varying degrees, but we all need connection, right? So there are people who need more support more than others. But in general, if we're going through something, a change in our life, support is very important because you want to be validated. So that's
Mhm.
another emotional need, like certainty. So validation from people, like you want to be, oh, you're doing a good thing, you're doing the right, you just want that feedback from people. So it's support is important because that gives you feedback, but also that gives you this feeling that I'm not alone in this journey. So
Yeah, I 100% agree with Romaine. I mean, it's when you're doing something, especially if you're new to taking on a new, nutrition plan, taking on a new fitness plan, um, like we were talking about earlier, the initial jumpstart can be very difficult because it's something that you've never done before, right? And so to have somebody with you doing it with you, um, and experiencing the same difficulties as you, like Romaine said, is it's very validating, right? It's validating that, oh, okay, Romaine's doing this stuff with me, and she's also having a hard time right now, right? Like the struggle is real. Like we always see people post online, and so that universality of that allows us to have a connection and allows us to understand that, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one that's feeling these challenges during this change that I'm trying to make in my life. And like we've seen this as well in our business, when it comes to like Yoli. It's just easier to and more effective to do things with connection with other people. I mean, studies have shown that if you're doing a new nutrition plan or a new fitness plan, that you actually you get better results. Excuse me, you get better results if you're doing it with somebody else, especially if it's somebody in your household. Oops, sorry. If you're doing it with somebody in your household. So yeah. If you wanna have better results, it's all like what's the saying is, I can go faster alone, but we can go farther together, right? All right. So you're always going to have better results when you're doing it with other people.
Are
nice.
your clients are your clients mostly Filipinos? And what are Filipinos' most important wellness concerns?
Yeah, I mean, a good majority of my clients and even my team members are definitely Filipino. Um,
Filipino
I think
Americans.
Filipino Americans and in the Philippines. Um,
Ah,
uh, their biggest concerns, that was the question. Sorry, I completely blanked out.
yeah,
The
yeah.
biggest
What
concerns
is their biggest wellness concerns? I'm sorry.
wellness concerns is well, I mean, specifically the typical things that we experience as Filipinos, right? Like in my family, we have a long history of disease, unfortunately. Heart disease, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, the typical things that we all experience. And then trying to make that change is actually also a big concern, because like, how do you go from eating these rich, fatty, delicious foods
Delicious
and
food.
making that we've been eating all our like rice for every meal, right? Like, how do you make that change
Mhm.
and adjust when you've been doing that your entire life? So like that for me typically is what I've seen, the biggest kind of challenges that Filipinos experience. And thankfully, we have such an easy and simple program to follow, that it just, the people get great results with it.
Mhm. Romaine?
Yeah, so Ronnie was saying, yeah, we have the high cholesterol. When I went to my doctor before, and he's not Filipino, he said, oh, you're Filipino. And I was in my 20s back then. I had high cholesterol, high blood sugar in my 20s. And she's
Uh-huh.
like, oh, you're Filipino. You must have the high five. You know, it's
What
like
is that?
fives, like high cholesterol, high blood sugar, high everything, right?
Oh,
Because
okay.
it's really what we eat.
Yeah.
So, there's a Netflix show that's like, you are what you eat. It's true. What you put in is really what's, gonna come out in our test results. So that's why,
Yeah.
and Ronnie pointed it out, like, in our company, Yoli Better Body company, it's like all our products are so easy to follow because and it's funny because a lot of our customers and distributors are Filipino, because Filipinos
Oh.
are the most, I'm not saying the most, but probably one of those top 10 in the world that are always on fried food or
For
come
sure.
on,
We are the
white
target
rice.
audience.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're the our target audience, and Filipinos don't want to diet. So Filipinos are like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I can't eat my
Oh.
white rice. Are you kidding me? So that's one of the factors that I chose this program, is because I can actually eat rice. not necessarily white rice every day, but all I'm saying is like I can eat the Filipino food that I actually crave from time
Yeah.
to time. So that's one of the factors of my choice. That's one of the things I considered. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to look at when I was looking for some sort of diet or something to change my life. One similar to Romaine, her defining moment was, okay, I just gave birth to my second baby. I know I have to give myself time, but it's been over a year, and I just felt so unhealthy. And I knew Romaine was a person that I could trust to help me lead to this journey. And 26 pounds less later, yes,
Wow.
the weight is not as important as like the lifestyle change in general, but it just made me realize that, I could still eat Filipino food, but it depends on the balance and just not every day. And yeah, I thank Yoli for making sure that have I still have those little positive unhealthy uh snacks that I can yeah, when I'm able to. But I can always count on Yoli to go back if I need to restart and go again. So that's why I wanted to invite Romaine and her colleague to really give us an inside scoop of like what is that successful trait that you see in your successful clients? Like what do you see as a common trait? Romaine, you go first.
So I think again, Rachel reached out to me. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. She's like, "Hey, I really needed to lose this
Mhm.
weight that I gained during pregnancy, and I knew I could help her because I've been there. You know, I have two kids myself, so I know how it is, and I'm also Filipino. Like I love my food, right? And so the successful thing about it's really the mindset. So when Rachel reached out to me, that was a good thing because she made a decision herself. Nobody forced her to do it. So I think one of the traits that's important is that person has to make that decision for themselves, not
Mhm.
for, like you don't have to force them to do it. They have to say, you know what, I want to do it for myself. This is my self care. This is my way of my self love. And so they will be more successful that way because they actually made a decision themselves and nobody told them to.
Yeah.
And knowledge.
100%. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, Romaine, I'd like to go back to you. What exactly does a life coach do? You don't just talk about fitness and health, right? If
No,
somebody's not happy with his job, he can go to a life coach, right?
you know
If
what's so
somebody,
funny is I
yeah.
think all of us are life coaches. Like when you have a problem, you go to your friend and say, you know what,
Mhm.
these are my issues, blah blah blah, right? You like to vent things out. Now
Yeah.
I became a professional life coach for my own venting, right? For my own self during the pandemic. Like, how do I explain these feelings of uncertain emotions that I'm feeling, or how can I help other people become that? So it's really professionalizing yourself as your own friend, right? It's really
Yeah.
because there's actually like people go to a psychologist really or a psychiatrist to it's not really that they're going to get treated. They're just wanting to talk to someone who
Mhm.
actually can explain to them what am I feeling? What is this? So, I'm not medically trained, so I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but I'm a life coach. And so it think of me as your friend but with more professional knowledge, like this is exactly what you're feeling because you have these emotional needs that you want to fulfill. So it's that.
So when did you start making it a profession and start charging money for it?
The thing is,
Or you're not there yet?
I'm just a professional life coach, but pretty much all my clients are my friends. So how can you charge
Oh,
your
okay.
friends, right?
All right.
But honestly, I trained with Ronnie during the pandemic. It took us 6 months to train with elite coaches. We're talking about coaches to the owners of Cleveland Cavaliers and stuff like that, like high level. But Ronnie and I did it for our own mental sanity, right?
Okay.
And then after that, after 6 months, I actually trained with Tony Robbins, and a lot of you probably
Oh,
know him. He's
yeah.
a coach to a lot of celebrities and CEOs
Mhm.
and politicians. So because I needed more, I felt like, okay, 6 months of this, great, but I feel like I need more, right? So again, I'm doing this for myself. So I just needed to coach myself. That's why.
Okay, thank you.
And Ronnie, can you share like a success story for us of how you've been able to motivate others? Because you, in your intro, you helped thousands, whether here in the U.S. and outside. Can you share a success story?
In terms of how people get motivated
Yeah, how you've
to
been able to make that life change for somebody.
I think really, I mean, it's the success mostly of the system that we have, and then I think Romaine alluded to this earlier. When you have that trust, well, no, you talked about it earlier. You trusted Romaine. When you see somebody have amazing results, you're going to naturally be curious, and so it's not nothing that we really have to hard sell or convince people to do. um, People generally just come to us or come to any people on our team because they've seen what it's done for other people. They've seen the results for their parents, or they've seen the results for that their siblings had. And so they just come to us. And so as far as success goes, yeah, like it's crazy how, to use the term virality, when somebody experiences a good transformation in their health, it has the potential to go viral within the household, and then that just extends out into the community, and eventually around the world, which is what's happened for Romaine and I.
Beautiful. No, so I hate that we're gonna have to cut this already short because I feel like we just got into it. But we do have to begin closing the episode. So I'd like to ask Romaine and Ronnie, what is one piece of advice you can offer for someone who keeps pushing their health to the side? One piece of advice. 10 seconds. Go ahead.
So I'll go first. Basically, you only have one body, and that's the only place you have to live. So if you're not investing in the only place you have to live, girl, you gotta think about it. So
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to health, and performance, or everything in life, it's foundational, right? So if you're not taking care of yourself, everything on top of that, that's stacked on your job, your relationships, how you're feeling, it's all gonna fall apart. So make sure that you're taking care of you, especially if you're responsible for a household, or if you're responsible for other people.
Oh,
You
thank you,
can't you
Ronnie,
can't take
so
care of
much.
them if you can't take care of yourself. Yeah.
Of yourself. Yes. Thank you again to all our special guest speakers, Romaine and Ronnie, and our guest speaker, Jocelyn, and the M&M team. Maraming salamat to our supporters and viewers sa ulitin. Thank you, Makilala TV.